Hey, let's get right into this. I am so excited for this episode and this series that I'm starting because this is something I love to do. If you have thought about, had trouble, difficulty, fill in the blank here with memorizing scripture, this is a really cool and easy way to make it memorable and easy to remember. And what I'm talking about is a glue book. These are the most fun because you use children's hard books, the kind that babies teethe on, I guess. You can find them. I got these at this one and the others I have at Dollar Tree, and you can pick them up at garage sales or Salvation Army or any place like that. So we're going to use this children's board book to begin memorizing the promises of God, because our last series was about being joyful. And this is the foundation of our joy. It's Christ, and it's these promises that God has given us that Christ has come and fulfilled. So I'm using the board book, and for this specific promise that we're looking at, I'm going to use patterned paper and I'm going to use magazine images. The reason I like to use these children's board books is because they're short. There's not like 10 million pages in there, and you can fill them either with pattern paper and magazine images, or as we move forward, you can fill them with background and then put your drawings on top. We're going to get into that as we go through the book. For this one, I'm using the pattern paper and the magazine images because we're going to make it really simple and really fun and really quick, because the focus is going to be, what am I thinking about? What is this promise that I want to hold on to and I want to memorize? This takes the stress off of, I didn't draw that line straight, or that's not the right color, or I don't like that image. We completely remove that stress and we just have fun gluing paper on a page and then adding to it as we go. I'm using a citrus blend of paper, paper that's citrus colored, kind of, with flowers, and it really makes me think of spring. And I'm going to flip through a magazine and find some images, a couple of images I like that want to work with spring, and I'm going to give you a hint as to what the verse is and the promise that I want to work on memorizing. Now, the play on this for me is the fact that I want to memorize some of these promises and these verses, and I want to glue them into my brain. So that's why I'm doing a glue book, which I've done before, but not in this manner. So I'm using this idea of a glue book to remind me and glue into my brain this confession of hope that we have because of the promises God has given us. Because when He makes a promise, He keeps it. There is no two ways about it. It is a done deal. That promise, it is in stone, and it is His word to us. He doesn't break a promise. He doesn't change. He is never, ever changing in who He is, His character, any of this. So when I have this confession of hope, the hope is Christ, and the promise is a done deal. So here's what's going through my mind when I am gluing this, the pattern paper and the magazine images down. I am thinking about this promise. I'm not thinking on I have to memorize this promise and reciting these words in my head. I'm thinking about, why is this promise so impactful? What are the verses that go with it that kind of blossom this promise into who God is and why He made this promise and how it works out, which is me thinking about, these previous two verses in Malachi and 2 Corinthians. So these are the things that are coming through my head. And if I don't have anything coming through my head when I'm gluing this down, I stop, get to my computer and go, okay, this is the promise. What else goes with it? And I use Classic Net Bible a lot of times to find these verses that maybe I don't have them rambling around in my head because those connections haven't been made yet. But this is what I'm thinking. So I'm not just, I'm going to memorize this verse. I am memorizing the concept and the principles that go with the verse, because that's how Scripture works. It all works together. This is what I have found trying to memorize scripture and putting things together and trying to hold these concepts or these thoughts in my head. If I just pull a verse and I go, okay, I'm going to memorize this scripture, this one I need, okay? So there's quite a few that I just have memorized in my head because I went to a private school when I was growing up, and I memorized a lot of scripture in 3 years because we had a scripture verse every week that we memorized. But the thing is, they were good verses, but they were just pulled out, and they didn't really have a concept or a principle attached to them. Okay, let me get nerdy for a minute. Here we go with the brain stuff again. Like memories are stored together in the brain. Okay? So if you have a scripture that you want to memorize and it's just pulled out of nowhere and here it is and I want to memorize it, but you don't have a story around it, let's say, or you don't have a principle, or you don't have the concept that goes with it, you just have this scripture that you've memorized. That's great. I am not saying this is a bad idea at all. What I am saying is if there's nothing connected to that scripture, it gets plugged away in your brain and it's there and this is good, but there's nothing connected to it. So when you start connecting things to it by way of this scripture means this, oh, and this scripture goes with it and that one goes with it, and this is how you build this memory of this scripture, because memorizing scripture is really building memories. So if you have those and they're put together in concept and principle, they're a whole lot easier to memorize. They're a whole lot easier to hold on to because it builds a story. And this is always the fun part, when I work on this and I get it together and then I put the wrong word on the book. Literally, this is the wrong word. The verse is Hebrews 10:23. It says, "Let us hold on to the confession of our hope without wavering, for the one who made the promise is reliable." Well, obviously, I didn't pay attention to what I was doing, and I had the word hope, and then I changed it to faith. So now I'm going to go back in the book and change it on my little card that I created that I thought was really so cute. Yeah, this is the joy of memorizing scripture and making a video about it when you write it down, so you can just have it right beside you and write it in your cool little glue book, but then you write it down in the wrong way. Oh my goodness. So, okay, this is real life, y'all. I'm just going to have to go back and change it. The funny thing is I didn't even catch that I had put the wrong word and I'd used faith instead of hope until I'm literally sitting here doing the voiceover on this video. Are you kidding me? So I knew I was going to use a fun little tab on the side, and what I decided to do was go back and put the word hope on the tab. So I will have a clue. This is how video works. This is real life, y'all. This is it. This is how memorizing scripture and putting things together can happen, but that's the beauty of it because we can change it. Here's a quick look at how I go through magazines. I'm looking for specific colors that I know are going to work with whatever color scheme I'm using in my memory book, board book. And I'm also looking at size because this board book is probably 4x4, maybe 5x5. So I want to be sure I'm pulling images that are smaller. Some of them I may literally just cut out around them and put them in. We'll probably do that on a couple of pages. Some of them I will just use them the way they are. And if you have magazines like I have magazines and you don't mind cutting them up, there's all kinds of cool images. And I also go in and pull out the words. A lot of time I can find cool words or embellishments or fonts or curly cues or something neat like that. So just play and have fun. Just get into the moment with what you're doing and realize that this is all creativity, and creativity leads to enhanced brain function, which is how God made us.